following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, everyone, welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Brian McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and to my right is a man who under the weather, but only because he discovered Jerry Jones's glory hole. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are you doing tonight?
I don't know how to respond to that. I did see a couple of clips of that press conference. Man, that press conference was bad. Oh, wow. Wow. But I did see also in the Discord, come on over, the water's nice and warm, but you posted that horrible Duval that, that he did. You also put it at the end of the 10 good minutes. So that was wow.
and just to clarify the glory hole comment, that is an oil term. Okay, because
yes.
when you strike oil, it's called the glory hole. So we had that.
That's perfectly clear.
Perfectly clear, folks. Not what other people were thinking.
But yeah, I'm a little under the weather, but this is going to be the best part of my day for sure. Sitting down with you. I haven't done much else today. Really, stomach issues are happening. So, but
that's okay. Sometimes we just need a day to just chill in and just rest.
Oh yeah,
it's not always a bad thing. Not always a bad thing.
How are you tonight, sir?
I'm fired up, man. This last couple of days have been, with football, the conference championships happening, and Aaron Glenn's press conference yesterday. I'm pretty fired up. And I just finished up a stint with our boys, friends of the show, Levac and Gaz. I was just on with them for a few minutes, about 45 minutes ago. So I'm fired up, man. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into our primary topics tonight, just want to remind you about where to follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like and follow us there. Also on bellyupsports.com, articles, podcasts. Check it all out. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, please don't forget to get yourself notified on Twitter. Still refuse to call it X. And on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up or show clips go up. This will be replayed. This will be a live show at 6:30 on Tuesdays, but it'll be replayed exclusively on Belly Up Sports, their YouTube channel, a little bit later. So you can check all replays out there. Same for our Saturday morning show, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're live on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, and our Twitter channel. But on the YouTube side, it'll be replayed later on Belly Up Sports and their YouTube channel. And again, as I said, on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a review where you can. And also on Spotify, you can comment on every episode, present and future, or present and past, excuse me, not future. That'd be pretty cool if you did the future.
Cutting edge technology.
Yes, comment on the Jets winning the Super Bowl. Just kidding. With Aaron Glenn as our head coach. I'm just kidding. Maybe. But yes, like, share, comment, all that stuff. And also, I know, Dustin, you're feeling a little bit under the weather, but I know this time always brightens your spirit.
I hear it in the distance. I think it's chime time.
It certainly is. All right, so let's get going and talk about Sunday's games. And we're going to start off with this.
Listen, we've got to do this. Let me hear you all say, E-L-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
By By the way, I posted that clip on our YouTube channel. We got some comments from that. We'll have to read those later. But yes, the Philadelphia Eagles, they first punched their ticket to New Orleans with a resounding 55-23 victory over the upstart, I guess arguably the upstart Washington Commanders, 55-23. This was, I'll have you lead off, Dustin, with your thoughts, and I'll go into mine. So if you watch the game, just tell people what's your thoughts on what occurred in this game.
Well, Jalen Hurts played a little better than he had. I kind of said he's got to play better going into this game, and he did. But what really killed the Commanders in this game was turnovers. They had a lot of turnovers because I was over at a friend's house watching the game. I had some family in town this weekend, and then I was barely home Sunday because I went over to a friend's house to watch both of the games, and drove home about halftime, a little after of the Bills-Chiefs games. But I did watch most of both games, and I will say my Uncle Al, as he often does, he was texting me, and when the Eagles went up early on that Saquon run, I think his first run was 64 yards, something like that?
62, I believe.
Okay, yeah, 62 yards. He texted me and he said, "What are the chances this game is over by halftime?" And then the Commanders kind of responded a little bit, and I said, I think they heard you, because they did respond a little bit with their own. Zach Ertz had himself a game against his former squad, but it was not enough, because the Commanders, like I said, they turned the ball over too many times. They really weren't able to get the run game going as much as I had hoped. Terry McLaurin, the Eagles defense did a great job, shutting down a lot of the Commanders' options. I think the Eagles, this team goes with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is the one, and the rest of their weapons are the 1As. But when you have a 1A that is A.J. Brown, who Marshawn Lattimore did not have a good game here. He was beat. He had a couple of kind of boneheaded penalties. And Luvu, what was Luvu doing on that goal line? He just kept jumping it. I was getting annoyed. I was getting really annoyed. But this game, I think we both kind of thought that I thought the Commanders were going to be able to hang a little bit more, but ultimately the Eagles would pull away. They just have too many weapons. They have too many things. And their offensive line has been doing a great job for Saquon. And also, Jalen Hurts had that knee injury, but it didn't really seem to affect him because he was protected pretty well. The Commanders, if I remember correctly, they didn't get that much pressure on Jalen Hurts. But, congratulations to the Eagles. The Commanders, they got a lot to be proud of. It's arguably one of the greatest turnarounds in recent memory in professional sports. And I think they got a lot left in the tank. So their fans should be happy, even though it's a bitter loss. But the Eagles just had too many horses. And when you turn the ball over as many times as the Commanders did, you can't overcome that. You can't overcome that, especially against a team like the Eagles.
Yeah, for sure. When the Commanders had that drive, they did on their first drive, they did what they needed to do. You saw what their game plan was going to be. It was going to be control the clock, short, quick passes, use the run when they need to, convert on 4th and short, and put some points on the board as a result. And they did on their first drive. They did that. They put 3 on the board, but he said, okay, this is how it's going to be for the rest of the game. We talked about this on Saturday. I think collectively we thought this was going to be a closer game than we initially thought. But then they had the game for it had 3 points. They put 3 points on the board, and then in like 8 minutes and change. And then Saquon Barkley put 6 on the board in 18 seconds.
Yeah. He averaged, I believe, 7.8.
7.9. Yeah.
7.9 yards per carry. And and I was at my buddy Derek's, and his fiance turned to me and said, "Is that good?" And I said, "Yeah, he's averaging a couple yards short of a first down on every run. That's good."
It was really good, and
Yeah.
the game would have been much closer if the Commanders didn't put the ball on the ground as much as they did in this game. The fumble on their second drive, that fumble inside their own territory, which didn't help. The missed field goal by Elliott helped because it got them within. The Eagles went up 21-3, but it could have gone much poorly if Jake Elliott hadn't missed that field goal, in which they responded tremendously with Jaden Daniels finding Terry McLaurin on that slant. It was great pass play, great run after the catch by Terry McLaurin, and they went for 2, which was kind of curious to me. Because I'm going, why go for 2? Just go for 1. You'll be within 1 score if you. I mean, not that they weren't going to be within 1 score. They were down by 9 at that point. But if you kick the extra point, you're only down 8, right? And then they force a punt. No, they didn't force a punt. I think it was the kick. No, it was the kickoff after the touchdown, where they fumbled it. Eagles gets a touchdown. 4 turnovers. That includes the one on downs in the fourth quarter. 28 points. And I noticed on my Twitter account after they went up 3. After the Eagles went up 28-12. I wrote this in my Twitter account, and I said, "Quote." Ugh, gross. That's a bad voice. I'm still feeling the after effects of a cold, and my voice is kind of scratchy still. I wrote, and I quote: "Good teams create turnovers. Great teams convert those turnovers into points. Elite teams convert them into touchdowns. The Eagles are an elite team, and it showed this day. And here's a cool thing: the Eagles had almost as many rushing yards. They had 249 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts had 250 passing yards. So it just shows you the incredible balance that, and Jalen Hurts contributed with his own feet. Because he made some running plays. He had a couple touchdowns on the ground with the push and the brotherly shove, or what do you want to call it now? I saw a tweet that said we should outlaw the term brother tush push. Like, that's pretty funny. But it was just very fascinating to see the balance of this offense that the Eagles offense has. And as we kind of saw in the Chiefs game, which we'll get to in a moment, the Chiefs defense they can be subject to giving up the big play. And the Eagles, we saw this all game long. They were thriving on the big play. And then I looked it up. It was a 60-yard run by Saquon, that opening touchdown for the Eagles. The big play on fourth down where A.J. Brown caught that pass. He was in Marshawn Lattimore's kitchen all game, especially in the first half and it led to a penalty where Marshawn Lattimore got a personal foul and unnecessary roughness penalty. So he was in that kitchen all game long. And here's a fun fact, Dustin. I don't know if you saw this fun fact, but the Commanders punter Tress Way has more career passing yards than Tony Romo and Dak Prescott combined in the championship game.
Oh man, I did not see that.
Yes, he had that fake punt that led to a field goal for the Commanders, which kept them in the game in the first half at least. But then the Eagles just started to pull away.
Yeah.
Tyler Shipley, man, that kid's gonna be big. He's gonna be a big time player for the Eagles someday. We saw what we could do in the return game. We also saw a glimpse of what we could do on the last series of the game for the Eagles, where he basically had all those yards by himself. You could kind of see he was after the first run he ran for 12 yards. I said to myself, this kid's he's gonna get a hole. He's gonna find that hole, and he's gonna break away for a touchdown or a long run.
Oh yeah.
And he did. Almost got to the goal line in that run. was a 50-yard plus yard run.
Yeah, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon. He was moving, and it just shows the how good the Eagles' offensive line is.
Yeah,
I mean, and
Will Shipley, my bad, Will Shipley.
oh,
not
Will
Tyler
Shipley, okay,
Will Shipley.
yep. And I fall into this because I'm such a fan of running backs. You called me a running back stan. You are correct, but the offensive line deserves major credit because, yes, Saquon has had an amazing season. He does amazing things, but Shipley came in. They didn't miss a beat. They opened a hole for him. He shot through it 50 yards, almost to the house. Almost.
Yeah. And Will Shipley, I mean, he had 77 yards on 4 carries.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's
He had that touchdown run, which was great for him because one of the first people to congratulate him on that touchdown was Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Because they love and they can tell this team absolutely they're united front. And that's for the Commanders. I gotta say this, and shout out to our friend of the show, Drew Willingham. He's a big Commanders fan. I'm looking forward to what he says on Friday for the Commanders Gridiron Report. But if you're a Commanders fan, period, my encouragement is to hold your head high, man. Hold your head high because this team outkicked its coverage, so to speak, in terms of expectations this season. I thought I didn't think the Commanders would go this far. I didn't think they would make a wild card spot. I thought they would have 1 year to kind of settle in and then break out. I did not expect this to happen. I don't think most pundits did either. So hold your head high, Commanders fans. Future's bright for your team. As long as Dan Quinn doesn't blow any 28-3 leads in the second half of the Super Bowl, your future's bright. You'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They got a lot to be proud of, and I know it stings right now, but they're going to be back next year. They're going to be back next year. And it's funny and it's true, but to me, the Eagles are, and next season's obviously going to be a different season, but the Eagles and the Commanders are going to be the ones that are fighting for the division, I think. And now everybody's prepared for the Commanders, but you hit the nail on the head. Dan Quinn, a couple of the decisions, some of his decisions hurt the team. Like you said, going for 2, I thought was a little premature. I know it's become the hot trend in football, and I know analytics say it, but sometimes you just got to take a point. You got to take a point.
Well, it's interesting. Tom Brady said after that failed attempt, he said, "I'm surprised they didn't give Jaden Daniels more options. He didn't give the more options to run or to throw somewhere." And they tried they did the same play, the same 2-point play in the third quarter after they stopped the Eagles on a 3-and-out to start the second half, because the Eagles scored all those points and they still got the ball back in the second half. They got it first.
Yeah.
But the Commanders defense, what they did, got a 3-and-out, forced a 3-and-out. They scored a touchdown to get closer. They got 2-point conversion. So they made it 28-23, but then you just saw the Eagles just go into overdrive.
Yeah.
That team couldn't be stopped. That team absolutely could not be stopped. All right, we're going to talk about the AFC Championship in just a second. Before we do that, got some comments in the comment section. Mickey Delaney checking in, saying, "Hi, Ryan." Hey, Mickey. Good to see you.
Hey, Mickey. How are you?
Appreciate you. He's usually a guy who tunes into Drew's shows or Snowman's shows, so good to see him here. No credentials required in the chat. And Walker the saying, "I was rooting for Washington, but I do think the Eagles will give KC a tougher match." Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, we're going to talk about that Chiefs-Bills game. 32-29. The Chiefs are headed to their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, their 4th Super Bowl in the last 5 years. The last 5 seasons, excuse me. And this was every bit of a heavyweight fight that football fans expected. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the game, I just want to say one thing. All right, so hear me out here. I'm really kind of sick of the talk about how the referees are always favoring the Chiefs. This is peak sore assery. Yes, I invented a new phrase. I'm going to make it merch. Sore assery. Because this is just a way of complaining that your team isn't winning. And we saw that same sore assery back during the Patriots dynasty. We saw it in the 90s with the Cowboys and the 49ers when they were so dominant. We saw that we see that when dynasties or near dynasties are about to happen. And I said on Twitter after the Chiefs-Texans game the previous Saturday, I said, we can whine, bitch, and complain about how the Chiefs get all the calls, but when it comes down to it, the team shows up when it matters most, and they don't need the officials' help. If you don't want to see them in New Orleans on February 9th, beat them. Plain and simple. And I got to give credit where the credit's due. It didn't look pretty at first for the Bills. I thought after the first series when they went 3 and out and almost had numerous turnovers on that drive, Chiefs go down the field looking very surgical. But to their credit, the Bills responded. They got a field goal and they forced a turnover from the Chiefs. And they thought, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting one. And it just like a great heavyweight fight. It was punch for punch all the way throughout the entire game. And the Bills had their chance to go for the knockout punch. They had 3:33 remaining in the game. They were down 3. They had all 3 timeouts. They had the 2-minute warning. And here was their play sequence for the rest of the game. Their final 6 plays of the game. Ty Johnson run for negative yards. Josh Allen scramble for 13 yards, get the first down. 2 consecutive incompletions, a 5-yard sideline pass to Curtis Samuel, and then Steve Spagnuolo finally dialing up the first exotic blitz of the game, which forced Josh Allen to make that throw, have it fall short of the sprawling hands of Dalton Kincaid. Where was the run game? Oh, yeah. Wait, hold on. We must acknowledge our tribal chief.
Do we have the theme?
Absolutely we do.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe,
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
And every Bills fan right now is saying F Kansas City.
Yes, everybody. Except for the barbecue. They probably appreciate good barbecue. I know people in Buffalo, they like to eat.
Oh, they love to eat. I mean, wings. Just don't give them ranch. Give them blue cheese. They don't want ranch with their wings.
I disagree with the city of Buffalo then. I am a ranch fan for my wings.
Sorry or not sorry, according to Dustin. But listen, the Bills had some time. The defense had a chance to get the ball back. Because there was only about a minute and change. About a minute and change. No, not even a minute and change. There were still 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah.
A little over 2 minutes left when the Chiefs got the ball back. They still had some time. They had time to force a 3 and out. They had time to force the Chiefs to punt. But, like I said, when it comes down to it, this team shows up and they don't need the refs' help. And they certainly didn't need the refs' help when Kareem Hunt got their first down and Samaje Perine got that second first down.
Yeah, that was his first run in a while too.
That was a pass, I believe.
Oh, it was a pass.
It was a pass play. It was in the flat and just turned on the Jets, got the first down. But again, the Chiefs did what they had to do. They ended the game with those first 2 first downs. Now they're going to New Orleans. And for everyone who hates this matchup, the Chiefs and the Eagles, suck it up, Buttercups.
Yeah.
We are where we are. Like I said, all they had to do was beat them, and they didn't. So right now the Chiefs are in the catbird seat, and they're going to be in this seat for a very long time. I've been saying that the last couple of years on this program. It's like the Chiefs are going to be in this position for a long time. All you got to do is stop them. Texans had their chance. They didn't do it. Ravens have had their chance. They didn't do it. Bills had their chances. They didn't do it. Like I said, I know it sucks. I know people are saying, well, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl because the Chiefs are in it again. You're going to watch. Stop. Stop. All right, Dustin, what are your Wise says appreciate that, guys. We appreciate you, Wise. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Well, yeah. I actually talked to him last night, and he's I won't go into too much detail, but he's on the mend, resting comfortably. And I said, whenever you want to come on the show, just let us know. We'll make it happen. He says, absolutely. Well, I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Speedy recovery and good rest to you, Wise. But I will say, I kind of, I was rooting for both the Commanders and the Bills because both of those teams have been waiting a long time. And it is kind of frustrating to see, unless you are a fan of these teams, it is frustrating to see them back. But I do think it's going to make for a great game on February 9th. But to me, the Bills, you hit on it first. Where was the run? Because James Cook, when he was touching the ball, he looked good. And he gives them another dimension, and it seems like they kind of went away from that. Now, I don't know if he was nursing an injury we don't know about. Some people noted that he looked like he was favoring something on the sideline, but as far as I was concerned, when he ran the ball, he looked good. Looked good. I thought they should have gone to him more. Also, some of the play calling by Joe Brady, you hit the nail on the head there. Josh Allen has made a living being in the shotgun and then finding an open lane and running up the gut. And I don't think they did enough of that. They didn't stick to their bread and butter. Now, credit to Kansas City defense because maybe Steve Spagnuolo and the guys made them adjust what they wanted to do. But this is another issue where I feel like the play calling kind of hurt the Bills a little bit. Yeah. And the only call in this game that I remember thinking, well, what happened there was the pick / catch that it looked like to me it was dropped. So I didn't think it was a completion. It looked like to me the ball hit the ground, but the referees ruled it a catch for Kansas City because they said that he had it cradled in his arm. But that was the only call that I remember where I was like, oh man, I'm with you. If you don't want Kansas City just knows how to win, and that's what frustrates everybody. It's a cliche phrase, and I'm sorry to use it, but it's the best way that I can describe it. They just know. And I said on Saturday's show that they would have to score a 30-plus point game to beat the Bills, and they finally did it.
They finally did it.
They did it when they had to. They did it when they had to because I, like you, the way the game started for the Bills, I thought, oh, man, this thing is going to go sideways quick. But the Bills regrouped, but I thought that they should have stuck with the run more, and I thought they should have had more, put Josh Allen in the shotgun. Why you keep going for the tush push when it's not working? I don't understand some of the stuff that was called there.
And that one tush push almost turned the ball over.
Yeah.
That would have been huge. That was a close call for him because he lost the ball, managed to get it back when Tranquil knocked it out of his hands on that lunge. Got the ball back, thankfully for them, because it kept the drive alive.
Yeah.
But when you tried it again, when you try to do the same thing over and over again, the other team catches on real quick. And I remember, and if you remember Dustin, when we went to that Jets Seahawks game in 2016. Shout out Eli Storch. We saw a play where the Jets completed a pass, which was, I believe it was a dead play because it was a penalty on either the Seahawks or the Jets. They ran the same play again.
Yep.
And Richard Sherman picked it off.
Yep.
I'm like, what are you doing? When you see the tendencies happen over again, their team catches on very quickly, and they see those tendencies. The best coaches see tendencies and they attack them. That's what happened here. That led to a touchdown for the Chiefs.
Yep, and that's the thing. The good teams show up when they need to, and they did. Because I will say, as much as people want to throw shade at Taylor Swift, I got no problems with Taylor Swift. All she's doing is showing up to an NFL game and watching it. It's not she's not going, look at me. It's the cameras at CBS. It's a CBS directive. Oh, pan to her. It's not, she's not looking for it. However, Travis's singing after the game, I could do without that. Okay. I don't need that. I don't need that. He does kind of annoy me from time to time, if we're being real here. I much prefer Jason is the superior Kelsey, in my opinion.
I think I'm pretty sure it's America's opinion, but I think America's starting to grow tired of the Kelsey brothers. But I saw things in this game. I think the Bills exposed the defense of the Chiefs in multiple facets. They were able to establish the run, which they should have kept doing.
Yes.
In the last sequence in their last series of the game, and they were able to throw the ball downfield and either get chunk plays or that last touchdown in the first half where Mac Hollins found the end zone by Josh Allen. That was a great play and a great series.
Yeah.
So this Chiefs defense can be exposed if you can do it, which I think as the Eagles have a great chance of doing. But we'll save that for next Saturday's show for the Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, we got to keep some stuff in the chamber.
And Kevin Wilson of Belly Up Fantasy Sports in the chat saying, "Be real, Dustin."
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate your endorsement.
All right, we're going to take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the coaching carousel of the NFL once more, and then talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 8, because this is the 8th episode of the new year already. It's not even end of January yet. We're 8 episodes in. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Two shows a week. We're killing it out here.
That's right. We are absolutely destroying it out here in these streets. All right, folks, we'll be back. We'll be back in just a moment. Stand by and stay tuned for more. No credentials required.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
That's right, folks. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, as our friend Brent from the 1420 podcast narrated in that commercial. Fantastic pregame, fantastic in-game, fantastic post-game snack. 20 grams of protein in each 2-ounce package. Low sugar, so if you're trying to watch those carbs, trying to watch those calories, as we all are, for our New Year's resolutions, you want to get yourself some Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. You want to get some of the Craft Jerky, which is all natural, 100% beef. I'll get to that in a second. Get yourself some turkey jerky, which tastes like a Thanksgiving dinner. You want to get yourself some of that African-inspired air-dry biltong, different flavors there. We'll get some of those 100% beef sticks. Not like the other beef sticks you see in convenience stores where their primary ingredient is pulverized chicken. Shame. But they don't have just human food for consumption. Dustin, I understand. There's some pretty kicking dog treats too.
They do. He loves them. My dog nephew Pickles. If you're a longtime watcher, you may have seen him, because sometimes I watch him from time to time for my sister. And I got him some of the dog treats for Christmas, and they are natural, and they have things like sweet potato and flaxseed. And I was over there on this past Saturday, and I know where his treats are kept. So I went over and I said, I'm going to give him a treat. And boy, was he fired up. I only picked the dog treats from Righteous Felon here. He loves them. If he could speak, he would give them 2 paws up. I am sure. His tail wags a bunch when he goes to eat them. I got him the 2 flavors, and one of them is beef and the other one is escaping my memory right now. But they, just like some of the beef sticks that you can get, they're long sticks, and he's a small little guy, so I like to break them up into like 4 little pieces, so that way he feels like he's getting a ton. I can say I'll get these again for him for sure.
Yes.
He loves them. They ship to me very fast. I ordered them in the holiday rush during the holiday rush because I forgot to get them for him, and they arrived the 23rd. I think they arrived just in time for me to wrap them up and bring them over on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the website right now. They have the Wild Ranger jerky dog treats, beef, chicken, and duck.
I believe I got him the beef and duck, now that I remember for correctly, because I was like, maybe pickles. I'd like to get him a little exotic with the duck. So I think that's what I did.
There you go. There you go. And
Sorry,
he's a good boy.
Oregon.
And by the way, today is his. I believe today is his birthday, from what your sister posted on
It
the
is his
social
birthday.
medias.
It is his birthday. He's
Already
8
9
years old.
He's already
today.
8 years old, man.
Yeah.
Time really flies, huh? Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah. For
He's
sure.
he's the goodest boy for sure.
Mhm.
But here's what you want to do. You want to go to righteousfelon.com. You want to stack up. You want to put plenty of stuff in your cart. Put that promo code belly up at checkout. Get 15% off your order. But it's not just that. For every order of $50 or more, this is even without the promo code. $50 or more, you get free and fast shipping, as evidenced by Dustin as in his testimonial. But you can also combine the promo code and the free shipping for even more savings. So again, righteousfelon.com, support our network, the promo code belly up at checkout, 15% off your order. All right, Dustin, it's time for Go for a Ride on the NFL coaching carousel. Here's the little horsies.
Yeah, they're moving around. They're moving around. It brings back
shoot.
childhood memories.
Yeah, right. Oh, I forgot to mention, Righteous Felon gets the no credentials required seal of approval.
Nice to see Puppers the Seal after a bit of a hiatus. Glad to see him back.
That's okay. All right. Yesterday we had several introductory press conferences for several head coaches in the NFL. We had Las Vegas Raiders introduced. That's the one. Yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders. They introduced Pete Carroll and their new general manager, whose name is escaping me. I think it's Slavic. I can't remember his name.
I'm trying to remember. I got real-time research. Raiders.
John Spytek. That's what it is. John Spytek.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, So they were introduced to the public. That's the only press conference I didn't watch. I didn't get to see. My New York Jets introduced Aaron Glenn as head coach and Darren Muji as general manager. The Jacksonville Jaguars introduced Liam Cohen as their head coach, and the Dallas Cowboys introduced Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach. Let's talk about some of these press conferences. Like I said, I missed out on the Pete Carroll introductory conference, but I listened to our guys Levac and Gaz today, and from the reaction that Levac gave, and maybe this is a little bit of a bias on his side because he is a Raiders fan. He said the most adult one was Pete Carroll being introduced by the Raiders.
Well, and I didn't see the full thing. I've seen some stuff, and as a Seahawks fan, obviously Kevin and I, and also Staniel Smooth, if he's out there listening, he is getting roasted for his raisins and goldfish thing. Though I heard that he was on with Brent, and Brent even asked him about it, but. Anyway, this had all the hallmarks of Pete Carroll's mantra. He said, if our players don't want to compete, they're in the wrong place, and they're going to find out pretty quickly. They're going to buy in pretty quickly. He said he's fired up. He used his nomenclature. Marshawn Lynch did attend the press conference, and he screamed Raiders during it. But it was, I didn't see the full thing, but like I said, his hallmarks were all over the press conference. We're gonna see what our players are made of. We're excited about the decisions that we're gonna make here, and he said his bit about competing and everything else. But I saw a couple Raiders fans on social media tweeting, if you do not come away from to that press conference with at least some hope and optimism, then you're not human. It was something to that effect. And Pete Carroll will do that. He will provide hope. And I think that if you give him time, that's my only problem. And I understand that Spytech, I think if I know Spytech has final say on personnel decisions. That was not the way it was in Seattle, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But how much time do you give Pete to put his imprint on this team? I think he's got a 3-year deal with a team option for a 4th year. He'll be 78 at that point. Does he get the full time to kind of put his imprint on this team? And something that we'll probably get into on Seahawks sessions. Mr. Smooth reached out to me and he said, "Hey, do you think that he would bring some of his guys to Oakland?" You know, there's already rumors that he's open to bringing Russ in. There's Tyler Lockett. His future with the Seahawks seems all but over. Does Pete bring in Tyler Lockett as like a locker room mentor type guy? Time will tell. But his hallmarks were all over the clips of the press conference that I saw.
I wanted to check Spytech's career history, his resume. It's pretty impressive because he's been with some really good teams. He started his career as an operations intern in Detroit, was an intern with the Eagles, then was promoted to college scouting assistant, then became a pro scout. Looks like it was from the 2006 to 2005, 2009. So those were probably the Andy Reid years. Went to Cleveland, was director of college scouting there, then went to the Broncos as an area scout, was a national scout in 2014 and 2015. And hey, look who won the Super Bowl in 2015, the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Goes to Tampa Bay, becomes director of player personnel from 2016 to 2020. So I'm pretty sure he had a hand. He's got a relationship with Tom Brady, considering now Tom Brady is part owner, like maybe a small piece of ownership with the Las Vegas Raiders. So he was there in 2020, won a ring with the Buccaneers, became vice president of player personnel, then was promoted to assistant general manager. Now he's with the Las Vegas Raiders. So we'll see what happens with them. So Good luck to them. So moving on, I got a chance to watch the New York Jets being introducing both Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. You can find most of my thoughts on my video, which is posted to No Credentials Required. Check it out after the show. Got some pretty impressive views right now. Last I checked it, I had 50 views on it. So awesome. Nice. Go me. But I watched Darren Muji didn't have a lot to say, but he's got a pretty impressive resume. He was on the same Denver Broncos scouting team that John Spytech was in 2015. So he's been with the Broncos for forever, since he became an intern and was promoted all the way up to assistant general manager. Now he's with the Jets. And I want to play one clip. I do want to play one clip from that press conference. And it's not the one you think.
Okay.
I was impressed by Aaron Glenn on how badly he wanted to be the head coach of the New York Jets. I'm going to play this clip. It's courtesy of Sports NY, Sports New York, and the New York Jets.
Listen, I want this job. I interviewed for a number of them, but I wanted this job. When I was going to my second interview, I want to make sure this is going to be the second interview. It's going to be the first of the second interviews, because I didn't want to leave the building without shaking Woody's hand and make sure we had a contract. So I'm just telling you now, everything else was really out of it. It was all about the Jets, and it's been that way from the beginning. The organization, we've already talked. I respect every little thing that you do, because this is bigger than me. It's going to take us all. It's going to take us all to accumulate wins, and I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, he impressed the heck out of me, and he took absolutely no flack from the press, because he said right before he started taking questions from the media, he said at the end of the press conference, or his introduction. He says, "I'm going to nip this one thing in the bud. We've already started communications with Aaron Rodgers. We're going to reevaluate things, and we'll come to a decision. We'll come to a decision with him."
Mm-hmm.
And he kept getting asked that question by the media in the scrums afterwards, and he kept insisting, "I'm not going to tell you. It's like a poker player. You're basically asking a poker player to look at your hand.
Yeah.
Look at his hand. He's not going to tell you. He pulled the Nick Saban when he said, "I told you once, I ain't telling you again." So good on Aaron Glenn. And here's one thing I missed in my video that I posted was Woody Johnson. After this, in the scrum, he was asked about personnel player decisions. And I think he had a come to Jesus moment from all the roasting he took throughout the season with those hit articles on The Athletic and lots of radio silence by them today. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a hit article on Aaron Glenn or Darren Muji sometime coming up on The Athletic. But he was asked about player personnel. He says, "You know what? I just got to let the coaches coach. I got to let the players, I gotta let the personnel do their thing. I got to stay out of the way. I have to be a better owner." I'm like, where has this Woody Johnson been? So I was happy to see that at least Woody Johnson was kind of owning up to the fact that he has not been a good owner. He's not been a good steward of this football team. And I'm hoping he stays true to his word, because I've seen the articles on The Athletic. I've seen the hit articles from Zach Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini. I've seen all of them. I'm hoping those days are over, because I want to move on. This season was absolute trash. It was a dumpster fire filled with tires, and I want to move on.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you as somebody that had to sit to the right of you and watch you endure what you went through this season. I mean, it killed the joy a little bit. I could tell. It's rough, especially when you don't see any end in sight. But I did watch your 10 good minutes video, but I also, the clip that impressed me was the one that you referenced where he addressed the Aaron Rodgers issue right out of the gate. And he also said that would be the case. He said, "We've started communication with him and we've already been texting back and forth." And he said, "Mooj and I came to work on Sunday and we've talked and we've already established we're starting to make decisions on a number of players on this roster."
Yeah.
So, you know, he basically said, "This is where it is, and that's all I'm giving you." And that's the part that impressed me. It was a very business approach to that press conference in New York there.
He channeled his inner Bill Parcells and basically gave the media absolutely nothing to talk about, which I say bravo. Bravo. All right. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars introducing Liam Cohen, recently the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to play it.
You got to play it.
I'm going to play it.
Duval.
That was so bad. No.
You have one chance to make a good impression with the fans.
Yeah.
One. You blew it, you nerd. I watched and listened to that press conference today of him, and I'm sitting there going, okay, your quarterback's coach with the Rams, and you had all these. You had one great season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now you're head coach of this team.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say Jaguars fans excited. Jaguar fan is excited today, and I actually saw a post where he got one more chance to say Duval correctly. Duval, but it's like no, you had one shot. You had one shot. You had one shot, dude. But I'm curious to see what he brings and to see if he can vivify Trevor Lawrence's career in Jacksonville. Because the first season was kind of get your feet wet. 2021 was a get your feet wet year. Year 2 started to take the jump a little bit. The training wheels fell off. started to see where he could be. And then after they got trounced by the 49ers in week 12 in 2023, he hasn't been. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been the same quarterback.
No, and he took that vicious hit from somebody on the Texans earlier this year too. But he just can't seem to. And I think what frustrates everybody is it's obvious to see that Trevor Lawrence has talent. And like you said, in the second year with Doug Peterson, it all started to come together, and you're thinking, oh, this is what it's going to be, and he's just regressed. So we'll have to see if Cohen can do what he did with Baker, but how much of that is on him? Time will tell, because I think Baker was already showing flashes. Even when he played for the Rams for a game or two, and he was learning the Rams playbook. He had the Rams playbook sent to him, so he could read it on the flight. Baker was already starting his resurrection. So how much of this is on this coach? And it just seems, Jacksonville, you have Trevor Lawrence there, and you have a great rookie receiver whose name is escaping me at the moment. And you have some pieces there, but it just, we'll see if he can turn it around. I did not watch the press conference. I don't know if you picked up certain vibes from this press conference, but it seems from the outside looking in and the way that you've broken it down, if I had to pick one coaching candidate from the recent hires that could probably be in a little bit over his head, I think it's probably this guy.
Yeah.
This guy.
And the receiver you're thinking of is Brian Thomas Jr.
That's right.
Great rookie season, drafted out of LSU. Great rookie season. I think it's going to be up to him because what he did this year as offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers was that he unleashed the running game. I forgot he was offensive coordinator with the Rams in 2022 when they lost. They didn't go to the Super Bowl that season. He was with the Rams no, he wasn't with the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. Sorry, he was offensive coordinator in Kentucky. So he's been kind of back and forth between college and pros, and now he's a head coach. He kind of struck me as this kind of geeky, kind of nerdy, but I think you kind of want that in a head coach.
Yeah, I would say you don't want your head coach. You don't want your head coach to be so cool that he's going to be out with you partying when you're at the club. You don't want to look over and see your coach there.
No, you don't want to see your coach getting dances from the ladies. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Urban Meyer.
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
No.
He's a family guy. He's a family man. But yeah, when you watch the press conference, he doesn't really strike you as a guy who he's like kind of low key, kind of. I think maybe a little bit introverted, but I'm wishing him all the success in the world for the Jaguars. And hopefully Shad Khan made a very good decision with their head coach. Now they just got to find out who the GM is going to be because the execrable Balky is out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what led to his firing, was that Liam Cohen said, "Yeah, I'll be your head coach, but I don't want him as my GM."
Yeah.
That's what forced his hand. I think that's what forced Shad Khan's hand. And the last coaching press conference yesterday we'll talk about is Jerry Jones introducing Brian Schottenheimer as coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I will say this. Brian Schottenheimer, I was a big fan of Marty Schottenheimer when he was head, God rest his soul. When Marty Schottenheimer was head coach in the NFL, when he coached the Browns, coached the Chiefs, coached the Chargers. Very successful, could never get always the bridesmaid and never the bride. I think as head coach he reached the AFC Championship 3 times.
Yes, once with the Browns, lost to Elway.
Twice with the Browns.
Oh, twice with the Browns. Okay,
Yep.
Lost to Elway, and then once with the Chargers, and that was
once with the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs. I forgot
Yes,
about that.
Joe Montana, 1994. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. When he came in. Well, then the Charger game might not have been the AFC
Actually,
Championship
you
game.
might be right.
Because I thought that was against the Patriots, right?
That might have been against the Patriots in their 17-0 season. Let's do some real-time research here and double check.
Real-time research, copyright, no credentials required.
That's right. No, he did not go to the championship with the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
He lost in the wild card to the Jets in 2005 and lost to the Patriots in the divisional round in 2007.
Okay. That must
That
be the
was-
game I was thinking of. Yeah.
They had home field advantage throughout in that divisional playoff. And then
And they were 14-2 that year, I think.
Yeah.
And LT got hurt in the second half, didn't come back in, and people were calling him out. I remember that.
So it wasn't Brian Schottenheimer. And I thought he did very well in his introductory press conference. He got a little emotional. He says, you know what? Us Schottenheimers, us men, we're going to show our emotions. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Yes, absolutely. Positively. Great. I liked his energy, I liked his speed. I liked his enthusiasm. And then we opened it up to the media. And we had a reporter from the Dallas Evening News, and I timed this. I watched this twice. I listened to it, watched and listened to it twice. At the 8:27 mark of that video, that's when the question gets asked. And then Jerry Jones unlocks his inner Vladimir Putin when he's asked by Tucker Carlson about why Ukraine was so important. 11 minutes and 33 seconds. His answer of why he chose Brian Schottenheimer as his head coach. 11 minutes and 33 seconds. I dare not play all 11 minutes and 33 seconds.
Oh, man.
Because he tries to weave this into an answer. And it's like, it's not hitting. Land the plane, Jerry. Land the plane. and he brings back, he's like, well, yeah. He even brought back his Arkansas Razorbacks.
I knew he would.
Dude, we've heard the story before. Land the plane, say why you hired him. Just tell us why. Don't give us this weave, this bob and weave, and try to make a point about evaluations and says I can't get out of my comfort zone, but I'm proving you wrong. I'm totally coming out of my comfort zone. Land the plane. Tell us why. Don't give us an 11 minute and 33 second answer as to why you hired Brian Schottenheimer.
Well, and he trashed him too. He trashed him in parts of it. He's like, "Oh, he's got a ton of baggage. I like his baggage." He goes. People called me out. He's like, "I got here by taking shots, and people say I can't get out of my comfort zone. This is
not shoddy shots."
yeah. And he said, "This is the biggest." This is the biggest risk I could have taken. No head coaching experience. He's banging his fist on the table. What are you doing? You're trashing. And Brian Schottenheimer has to just sit there and listen to this. It's terrible.
I'm surprised that his son, Jerry's son didn't step in and say, "Okay, Dad, we're going back to the nursing home now. Let's just go. Let's just go. Okay,
man.
Come on. I'm sorry, folks. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry, we're bringing Dad back to the senior home." No, this demonstrates the megalomaniacal nature of Jerry Jones. He's introduced as both as the owner, the chairman, and the general manager. I'm sorry. The owner, president, and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like, just how old is Jerry Jones?
Oh, I don't know. But then Steven too.
He's 82 years old.
Oh yeah.
82.
He's my dad's age. Yeah. Gee.
He's talking like it too. It's like,
well, and also Steven using quotation marks when he's like championship drought. You haven't won since 1995. That is a drought. It's like 29, 30 years.
As I alluded to in our talk about the Commanders and the Eagles, their punter has more passing yards than in conference championship games than any Cowboys quarterback has in the last 29, 30 years. Ridiculous. Come on, my guy. So, yeah, I mean, I watched 3 out of the 4 of the introductory press conferences. The Saints are a standalone as the only team who has not filled their coaching vacancy as of right now. So we're still waiting on them. They had an interview with Kellen Moore, in-person interview this week, naturally, because they're going to be in New Orleans in a week, or 2 weeks, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see where this goes with the Saints. And it's interesting that AFC West. Listen to the head coaches that are currently going to coach the AFC West next year. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll.
Yeah. It could be a fun division.
It could be a very fun division.
Because let me tell you, Pete Carroll and Harbaugh, they don't get along too well. So it's nice to see them. Their beef goes all the way back to college, and then they had that rivalry when Pete was coaching the Seahawks and Harbaugh was coaching the 49ers. So it could be fun to see that again. And Andy Reid, obviously, Andy Reid is gonna be able to decide when he wants to go from Kansas City. Like he'll erect a statue of the man, and he's figured out his clock management woes from his younger days in Philly. He's got that all figured out.
Yeah. All right, let's get the comment before we go to our last segment. Let's hit the comment section real quick. We got Kevin and Dustin, Kevin and Mickey saying hi to each other, so we'll get rid of those. Wonko saying 100% watching the Super Bowl between two teams I don't care for. It's the Super Bowl. Thank you. He says, plus it'll be nice to see some good football in New Orleans for a change.
Taking a shot, which they lost their offensive coordinator because he's up in Seattle now.
That's a shoddy shot right there.
No.
He also says rooting for Pete. Tough task in that division. That's for sure. For sure. Kevin's saying, I hate the Raiders, but Pete can turn me into a fan. Interesting. Mickey saying he thinks that some of the Seahawks will go with Pete. Like to see that. And Wonko saying, you're right, Mickey. Both loyalty to Pete and the Seahawks guarantee it. And the Seahawks cap guarantee it. Yeah. All right. So, sorry. Let me end this. This has been the NFL coaching carousel update. I'm gonna miss that one when the last coach gets announced.
Yeah. No, it's been nice to have around.
It has. And I'm just gonna be sad when this carnival leaves town. I won't miss the carnies though.
No.
All right, so this is episode number 8 of 2025, and we've been going over our favorite athletes to ever wear the number associated with the episode. So today's episode is episode 8. We're going to talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 8 that we've seen play during our lifetime. Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you. Who's your favorite athlete to wear the number 8?
Well, I'm going to make this quick because this one came down to 2 for me. One of them you're not going to be surprised, and then the other one you might be surprised.
Okay.
I thought long and hard about Matt Hasselbeck because I've always had a soft spot for Matt Hasselbeck, and I watched him grow as the quarterback of the Seahawks. Those early years after that trade from Green Bay as Favre's backup to Seattle were a little rough, but he figured it out. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. I've always liked the way he carried himself. He was a fiery competitor, but he lost out to Cal Ripken. Cal Ripken, he's an Iron Man. He's got that streak. Like that alone spoke volumes to me, and it was tough to root for him because he was in the AL East on the Orioles all those years, but he was a player that made it easy to root for him. And even when he was older, he could still hit. He could still do everything. People wanted to make a bunch about his range diminishing at shortstop. He was still good enough. I mean, nothing but respect for Cal Ripken, the way he carried himself, the way he played the game. His numbers speak for himself. But to me, the most impressive one is that Iron Man streak of the consecutive games. He never missed a game. He was reliable. And for a lot of years in Baltimore, he was one of the reasons to watch because the Baltimore Orioles had some tough teams in the 90s there, We liked the fact that they were in our division because you used to get some guaranteed wins against Baltimore, but it was never because of Cal. Cal always brought his A game, and just ultimate respect to Cal Ripken. So I had to go with him. And Matt Hasselbeck almost overtook it, but Cal Ripken is the pick for me, Ryan. What about you?
Who was the other one you had in mind?
It was either Matt Hasselbeck or it was Cal Ripken. Came down
Okay.
to two guys. Yeah.
Okay. Came down to two guys for me as well. And I'm going in a different direction like I always do, always have since I was a little kid in terms of going my own direction when it comes to things. It was kind of two for me, and they were both in hockey. First one being Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I believe he's 20 goals behind Wayne Gretzky as of this recording for all-time goals scored in the NHL in history. But the number 8 that always be in my mind as the greatest number to wear the number 8 right now, Teemu Selanne.
Yes. I looked at Teemu as well. He's an ageless wonder. Both of those guys, Ovi and Selanne.
But yeah, he's drafted by the Winnipeg Jets in 1988, made his NHL debut during the 1992-1993 season, and promptly set the rookie scoring record with 76 goals that season. And he just kind of knew what kind of player he was going to be. Now, initially, he didn't wear number 8. He wore number 13 for his first 2 seasons in Winnipeg. Switched to number 8 after the 1994 season. So he spent his first couple seasons in Winnipeg, was traded to Anaheim during the 1995-96 season. And from reading his biography on Wikipedia, he was so upset that he got the news that he was traded that he left the arena without speaking to anybody.
Oh, man.
He was so upset. But I think it was part of a reason because like many Canadian franchises at that time, like with Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers, Pete Pocklington was persona non grata in Edmonton after he traded Wayne Gretzky to the LA Kings in 1988, August 9th, 1988, which will ever be etched in my mind as an important date in NHL history. But you could also put February 6th, 1996 as another important day in NHL history when Selanne was traded from Winnipeg, which would relocate to Phoenix the next season to Anaheim. And took him some time to get adjusted, but wound up being one of the key cogs with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim at the time. Went to San Jose, went to Colorado, came back to Anaheim in 2005, won a Stanley Cup in 2007, the only Stanley Cup he would ever win. But he still played key minutes with the Ducks that year with his fellow Finnish player, Saku Koivu, one of the other great Finnish hockey players to play in the NHL ever. Here's his final career stats. In the regular season, 1,451 games played, 684 goals, 773 assists. He scored 255 career power play goals, 7 shorthanded, 110 game-winning goals. Outstanding.
Wow. Yeah.
Outstanding. Just such a talented forward, fast skater, hard shooter, great shooter, outstanding shooter. His shooting percentage lifetime, according to hockeyreference.com, 15.1%, which is actually pretty high for a player who played that long. 15 out of any shot he would take, it's one out of every, let's see, divided by 100. So one out of every 1.5 shots he would take, he'd score a goal.
Wow.
Just that talented of a player. And it was between him and Alex Ovechkin. Maybe if we revisit this in a year or two.
Yeah.
I'll say Alex Ovechkin, especially but when he breaks Wayne Gretzky's scoring mark, which is going to happen this year. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah, but those are our favorite athletes to wear the number 8. For Dustin, it's Matt Hasselbeck with Cal Ripken Jr. coming in second. For me, it's Timo Solani and Alex Ovechkin coming in close second. Apologies to the DMV area, the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area, that fan base, especially our guy Eric Garditti from Barstool. Shout out to him. We're gonna get out of here. Mickey says that was awesome. What happened in Cal's last year at the All-Star game? Yeah, definitely. You get the tribute, get the Ironman. Longest game streak played ever in history of any professional sport.
Yeah,
It's incredible. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Just a note: we're gonna be live on Friday night at 6:30 Eastern, as opposed to Saturday morning at 10 Eastern. We got some stuff going on that we're going to an event with our sisters that we're looking forward to. So we decided to move our recording from Saturday to Friday. So we'll have a Friday episode. Well, there'll be 9 episodes in the can for January. How about that? As Mel Allen would say, how about that?
9 episodes.
Yeah. So join us 6:30 Eastern on Friday. We may or may not have a special guest where he's keeping us in the loop as to whether or not he'll be available. But right now he's good to go.
All right.
We'll
Awesome.
let you know who that is. Just stay tuned to our social medias, which you can find right here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search No Credentials Required. Also check out our other podcasts, our great podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Pandora. And don't forget to get yourself notified both on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when show goes live or there's other announcements that we need to make in regards to shows like the one I just made. We're going to do a happy hour on Friday night, 6:30 Eastern, with possibly a special guest. Stay tuned to the socials. We'll let you know if that happens. On the podcast side, again, rate, review, comment. If you're watching on the Belly Up Sports YouTube, leave us a comment. Who's your favorite number 8 of all time? Current player that you've watched. And leave us a comment, rate, review, all that stuff. We appreciate it. We got some Brian Mosier, your brother-in-law's brother, chiming in saying, great show. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And Wonko the saying, thanks all. Great show. We appreciate you being here, Wonko. But again, Friday, 6:30 Eastern, possibly have a special guest. We'll let you know. Keep your eye on the socials for that. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. So thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll talk to you on Friday night, 6:30 Eastern. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
There it is.